Heard of a online political publication called Semaphore, started by Ben Stein, who I know from the days when we were both contributing in the Huffington Post, and his business partner, whose name just went right out of my mind. But at any rate, they have an article here that reads as follows. Yeah, I'm using my glasses here. Trump stops getting everything he wants from fellow Republicans by Burgess Everett. I think of Burgess Meredith, the penguin, yell, rah, 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 and Eleanor Mueller. And this came out on the 20th, which is yesterday, Thursday. And it reads, President Donald Trump got everything he demanded from his party for nearly a year. Now, suddenly, some of his dictates are falling flat with fellow Republicans. Take Trump's idea to send $2,000 tariff rebate checks to Americans, for example. We are $38 trillion in debt, said Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, who told Semaphore any revenue we get in ought to be used to reduce the deficit, not expand it. Johnson scoffed when asked whether it was tough to spurn the president on the issue. Does it seem challenging? I'm telling you what I think. The rift between Trump and the rest of the GOP are piling up. Indiana Republicans are declining to rewrite their congressional maps at the behest of the president, sparking a wave of redistricting regret on Capitol Hill. Trump's pitch to eliminate Affordable Care Act subsidies is also drawing skepticism within the party, as is his bid to jam a moratorium on state artificial intelligence regulations into a must-pass defense bill. Now, I got to stop right here and say this. If that's the case, if that's the case that Trump is losing these battles, and one of the battles that looks like he's poised to lose is the Affordable Care Act, then my party, the Democratic Party, really would have won in taking the risk. Remember the eight that took the risk to make the side deal with Republicans and put the vote over to end the shutout, saying, hey, look, we'll revisit, we'll get our chance to have this vote. Well, it looks like if they do get the chance to have the vote later this year, and we don't have much of a year left, okay, then it could very well result in the Affordable Care Act dodging yet another attempt to severely weaken it when the votes come up. That's what it looks like, because if Republicans are now turning around and saying, you know what, you had your day, we're not going to. Now, what Semaphore doesn't explain is why this is happening. I'm telling you why this is happening. It's the Epstein files. You could look at this like this. Let's call the Epstein files, all right? Let's just say BEP. BEP is before Epstein. That should be BEF. BEF is before Epstein files. Okay. AEF is after Epstein files. All right. So let's talk about the world before the Epstein files. And the world before the Epstein files had Donald Trump getting what he wants. The Epstein files were dangling around out there, but as long as the public was being satisfied with these drips of 30,000 pages of nothingness or redacted documents or both, everything was cool. But then came AEF, after Epstein files. After the Epstein files vote, where there was only one, I believe it was the same Ron Johnson, only one person voting no in terms of passing the Epstein files. Hold on a second. Passing the Epstein files. Only one person. That was Senator Johnson. That's it, okay? Before that happened, or after that happened, everything changed. Marjorie Taylor Greene decided just today she's going to resign. And now you have Laura Loomer talking about her and calling her a traitor, following in Trump's footsteps, which is really sad because, look, traitor is a term that could be applied to a number of people on that side of the aisle, including the person right at the top. And everybody knows it. So here we are with this situation, and Semaphore is saying, well, for some reason, and it did write that, for some reason. The reason is clear. It's the Epstein files. The reason is clear. It's the survivors. The survivors, the many women who have been violated as teenagers by this man who is still alive out there, I contend. All right, I contend. I have a right to that. And they want their pound of flesh. And they're going to get it. And because of that, there's this gigantic wave. It is a tidal wave of giant political proportions, and I believe of an intensity and size that was not forecasted to happen. I think this is going to emerge as one of the biggest political blunders in American history, what Donald Trump has done. And it's going to reveal a lot of things about himself that are going to make his political future weird. Let's put it that way. I'll just say weird, okay? And that's putting it mildly. But back to Semaphore. Yeah, Semaphore didn't call the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is the Trump files. I mean, the Epstein files, which you might as well call the Trump files. Because Donald Trump's name is said to be among all politicians, Donald Trump's name is said to be the number one most mentioned in those files among politicians. So, yeah, call it what you will. You can call it the Epstein files. Maybe you could call it the Trump files too, or the Trump-Epstein files. But whatever the case, this is a watershed moment in history. Semaphore got it wrong. The reason we're here is because of the Epstein files and those brave women that stepped forward and decided they would not shut up, they would not be shut up, they would continue talking, they would continue speaking their truth. And that's what they're doing. And it looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to join them. Ooh, wow. And it looks like because of all of this, the Affordable Care Act will live with its subsidies. Watch. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark ZennyReport.com.